On a scorching summer evening in 2022, the peaceful suburban haven of Cedarbrook was forever scarred by a gruesome murder. The life of Danny Russo, a young pizza delivery driver with an easy smile and dreams of culinary school, was brutally cut short. But the truth behind his death was far more twisted than anyone could have imagined. A dark tale of obsession and betrayal that would shock the community to its core. Amelia, a woman in her early 40s, was a picture of perfection. Her manicured lawns, tastefully decorated home, and designer wardrobe were the envy of her neighbors in Cedarbrook. Married to Robert, a successful businessman, she appeared to have everything. However, beneath the surface, Amelia felt deeply dissatisfied, leading to a series of dangerous and secret desires that would ultimately lead to her downfall. Robert, consumed by his career, often worked late into the night, leaving Amelia alone in their sprawling house. Their talks had reduced to basic chats about timetables and social plans. The passion they once shared had fizzled out, replaced by a cold politeness that masked their growing emotional distance. Amelia craved excitement, adventure, a spark to ignite the embers of her dormant desires. She fantasized about passionate encounters, stolen kisses, and secret rendezvous. The kind of romance she read about in novels, the kind that made her heart race and her skin tingle. Yet trapped in the monotony of her daily life, these fantasies felt out of reach. But little did she know, fate had other plans in store. One sweltering summer night, after a particularly lonely dinner, Amelia found herself craving comfort food. She picked up her phone and ordered a pizza from Tony's Pizzeria, a local joint known for its delicious pies. Little did she know that this seemingly ordinary decision would change her life forever. Danny Russo, a friendly and outgoing college student working part-time as a pizza delivery driver, arrived at Amelia's doorstep with her order. Him, with his tousled brown hair and easygoing charm, was a breath of fresh air for Amelia. Their interaction was brief, but it left a lasting impression. This chance encounter would ignite a flame of obsession that would consume Amelia's life. Over the next few weeks, Amelia found herself ordering from the same pizzeria more and more often. Each delivery brought a spark of excitement to her otherwise mundane routine. She eagerly anticipated Danny's arrival, her heart fluttering as she opened the door to his friendly greeting. But Amelia's harmless crush was morphing into something sinister. Their conversations gradually extended beyond the usual pleasantries. Amelia learned about Danny's culinary aspirations, his love for music, and his dreams of traveling the world. Danny, in turn, was drawn to Amelia's intelligence and wit, her stories of art and literature a stark contrast to the monotony of his daily routine. What started as a harmless flirtation soon blossomed into something more. Stolen glances turned into lingering touches, casual conversations into intimate whispers. Amelia found herself increasingly drawn to Danny's youthful energy and unbridled passion. Their first kiss happened on a rainy afternoon, as Danny sought shelter under Amelia's porch after a delivery. The moment was electric, a surge of forbidden desire that neither could deny. From that point on, their affair became a whirlwind of secret meetings and stolen moments. But this forbidden love would have disastrous consequences. Danny, intrigued by their secret relationship, started feeling more uneasy. He was just a pizza delivery guy, not accustomed to the emotional intricacies of a married woman's life. The thrill of the forbidden had begun to fade, replaced by a growing sense of unease. He was not a homewrecker, nor did he want to be. As the affair progressed, Amelia showered Danny with gifts, expensive cologne, a new watch, even concert tickets. But with each present came a subtle demand for his undivided attention. She wanted him at her beck and call, regardless of his own commitments. Danny noticed a shift in Amelia's demeanor. The playful, flirtatious woman he initially knew was now prone to fits of jealousy and paranoia. If he was late on a delivery, she bombarded him with calls and texts, accusing him of being with other women. If he didn't answer immediately, her anger would escalate, her voice dripping with suspicion and threats. One evening, as Danny was delivering a pizza to a neighboring house, Amelia unexpectedly appeared in her driveway. Her eyes were narrowed with suspicion as she questioned him about the customer, insinuating that he was attracted to the other woman. Danny was taken aback by her outburst, a shiver of fear running down his spine. He quickly made his delivery and rushed back to his beat-up Toyota Corolla. his heart pounding in his chest. Little did Danny know, this was just a taste of the nightmare Amelia had planned for him. The next day, Danny got a lot of texts from Amelia, saying sorry and expressing love. She asked him to meet her at a quiet motel just outside town. Danny, unsure but drawn to her, felt the excitement of their secret meeting. Next day when they met, she told him that she had been feeling insecure lately and was afraid of losing him. Danny reassured her that she was the only one for him. Amelia's apology seemed sincere, but was it all an act to lure him into a dangerous trap? But as their conversation continued, Amelia began to reveal a side of herself that Danny had never seen before. She confided in him about her past relationships and how she had been hurt in the past. Danny listened intently, feeling a newfound understanding for her. As the day went on, they talked and laughed, forgetting about their worries and enjoying each other's company. Danny truly cared for Amelia and wanted to be there for her through all of her insecurities. But Danny's care and concern were about to be exploited in the most horrifying way. From then on, their relationship deepened and they became inseparable. Danny had found a love that he never thought was possible, and for Amelia, she had found someone who accepted her for who she truly was and made her feel loved unconditionally. They both knew that they had found something special and were excited for what the future held for them together. However, their love story was about to take a dark and deadly turn. Back home, Robert noticed a change in Amelia's behavior. She was more distant, her once warm smile replaced by a cold, vacant stare. Her phone buzzed constantly, but she always turned it over, shielding the screen from his view. Robert's suspicions grew, but he couldn't fathom the dark truth that was lurking just beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life. The affair, once a source of exhilaration, had become a suffocating burden for Amelia. Robert's suspicions gnawed at her conscience, casting a shadow over her newfound happiness. She couldn't bear to hurt him, but she also couldn't bring herself to end it with her lover. So she tried to push the guilt away and bury herself in her work, hoping that the distraction would make everything go away. Amelia's guilt was a monster she couldn't escape, and it was slowly driving her mad. But as the days went by, Robert became more insistent on getting answers. He demanded to see her phone, to know who was constantly messaging her at all hours of the night. With trembling hands, Amelia handed over her phone and watched as Robert's face fell in disbelief. The messages were explicit and detailed, laying bare the affair that had been tearing apart their marriage. The truth was out, and it was about to unleash a storm of fury and despair. Her heart pounding in her chest, Amelia begged for forgiveness and promised that it would never happen again. But Amelia's pleas fell on deaf ears, for the damage was done and the consequences were inevitable. The trust had been broken, and he couldn't bear the thought of Amelia being with another man. Feeling helpless and heartbroken, Amelia turned to her best friend for advice. She confided in her about the affair and how she didn't know what to do. Her friend listened patiently before giving her a piece of advice that changed everything. Stop hiding behind your work, Amelia. You need to face this head on and make a decision. Either you end things with your lover and try to salvage your marriage, or you leave Robert and start a new life. The choice was Amelia's, but her decision would have a ripple effect that would lead to a shocking climax. She had been avoiding making a decision because she was scared of the consequences. But her friend was right. She needed to be brave and make a choice. After much contemplation, Amelia decided to end the affair and work on her marriage. It wasn't easy. Trust had been broken, and it would take a lot of time and effort to rebuild it. But Robert was willing to give her another chance, and they went to counseling together. It wasn't smooth sailing, but they were determined to make it work. While Amelia was trying hard to set things up within his married life, Danny, on the other hand, was struggling with his feelings. He couldn't get Amelia out of his mind, and he missed her terribly. Her attention, her passion, her understanding had ignited a fire within him that he couldn't extinguish. He had never felt so connected to anyone before. He craved her touch, her laughter, her presence in his life. The thought of losing her was unbearable. He tried to win her back, bombarding her with messages, flowers, and desperate pleas. He even showed up at her doorstep, begging for another chance. Danny's longing for Amelia was about to lead him down a path of unimaginable horror, but Amelia remained firm in her decision. She knew she had made a mistake, that her reckless pursuit of pleasure had led her down a dangerous path. She wanted to mend her marriage, to give Robert the love and attention he deserved. Amelia's remorse was genuine, but it couldn't undo the damage she had done. Her sudden withdrawal left Danny feeling betrayed and humiliated. He had bared his soul to her, shared his dreams and vulnerabilities, only to be discarded like a used toy. The bitterness festered within him, twisting his love into a toxic cocktail of resentment and revenge. Fueled by anger and a desire to reclaim his power, Danny hatched a sinister plan. He had amassed a collection of intimate photos and videos during their affair, a treasure trove of compromising evidence that could destroy Amelia's carefully constructed life. He sent her an anonymous message, threatening to release the images unless she complied with his demands. Danny's revenge was a ticking time bomb, threatening to explode Amelia's world. Amelia, paralyzed by fear, found herself trapped in a web of blackmail. Danny's demands grew increasingly outrageous, each one chipping away at her sanity and her sense of self-worth. She was torn between protecting her marriage and safeguarding her reputation. She knew she had to find a way out of this nightmare, but the fear of exposure kept her paralyzed. The once vibrant Amelia became a shell of her former self, a prisoner in her own home. The fear of exposure, of Danny's threats becoming reality, consumed her every waking moment. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus on anything but the looming disaster. Amelia's once meticulous appearance began to falter. Her designer clothes hung loosely on her emaciated frame, her makeup haphazardly applied to mask the dark circles under her eyes. The vibrant energy that once drew people to her had been replaced by a haunted look of desperation. Robert, oblivious to the true cause of his wife's distress, attributed her behavior to stress and exhaustion. He urged her to see a doctor, to take a break from her social commitments. But Amelia's fear was too deeply ingrained to be eased by simple remedies. She knew that the only way to silence Danny was to take drastic measures. One day, as Amelia scrolled through online forums, seeking a solution to her predicament, a sinister idea took root in her mind. She stumbled upon a discussion about untraceable poisons, substances that could mimic natural causes of death. A chilling thought began to form, a way to silence Danny permanently. She delved deeper into the dark corners of the internet, researching various poisons and their effects. She learned about the subtle art of poisoning, how to administer lethal doses without arousing suspicion. The more she read, the more convinced she became that this was the only way to protect herself and her family. Amelia's transformation from a suburban housewife to a calculating killer was swift and terrifying. The sweet and innocent facade she had carefully crafted for years was crumbling, revealing a dark and twisted personality beneath. One evening, as Robert was away on a business trip, Amelia prepared a special dinner for Danny. She meticulously followed the instructions she had found online, lacing his favorite dish with a lethal dose of poison. Her hands trembled as she served him the meal, her heart pounding in her chest. Danny, unsuspecting of the deadly trap laid before him, devoured the food with gusto, oblivious to the poison coursing through his veins. As he savored each bite, Amelia watched him with a mixture of dread and anticipation. She had crossed a line, a point of no return. Hours later, Danny's lifeless body was found in his modest apartment. The cause of death was initially ruled as a heart attack, a tragic but seemingly natural end to a young life. Amelia had committed the perfect crime, or so she thought. But the truth always has a way of coming out. It was the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter filled with guilt, paranoia, and the ever-present fear of discovery. Amelia's plan had worked, but the consequences of her actions would haunt her for the rest of her days. The weight of her secret pressed down on her, a constant reminder of the darkness that resided within her soul. She had become a monster, a killer who had sacrificed her humanity for the sake of self-preservation. News of Danny's death spread through Cedarbrook like wildfire. A young life cut short, a promising future extinguished. The community mourned the loss of their friendly pizza delivery boy, a familiar face with a bright smile who had become a part of their lives. Amelia, though outwardly grieving, felt a twisted sense of relief. The immediate threat to her secret was gone, but the guilt gnawed at her conscience. She attended Danny's funeral, her face a mask of sorrow as she offered condolences to his heartbroken family. Yet even in the midst of mourning, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her, that her carefully constructed web of lies was about to unravel. Detective Ethan Blake, a seasoned investigator known for his sharp mind and unwavering determination, was assigned to Danny's case. He meticulously combed through the crime scene, searching for clues that could shed light on the young man's untimely demise. The initial autopsy report, citing a heart attack as the cause of death, seemed straightforward. But Detective Blake, a man of intuition and experience, sensed that something wasn't quite right. He started by interviewing Danny's friends and family, piecing together a picture of the young man's life. They described him as a kind, hard-working individual with a bright future ahead of him. There were no known enemies, no obvious motives for murder. But as Detective Blake delved deeper into Danny's life, he discovered a curious anomaly. In the weeks leading up to his death, Danny had been receiving an unusually large number of pizza orders from a single address, Amelia's house. Intrigued, Detective Blake decided to pay Amelia a visit. Amelia, though initially composed, grew increasingly nervous as Detective Blake questioned her about Danny. She stumbled over her words, offering vague and contradictory explanations for her frequent orders. Her eyes darted around the room, her hands fidgeting nervously. Detective Blake's suspicions grew. He noticed a framed photo of Amelia and Robert on the mantelpiece, their smiles forced and unnatural. He saw the subtle signs of stress etched onto Amelia's face, the faint tremor in her voice. He knew he was on the verge of uncovering a secret that would shock the community of Cedarbrook and expose the chilling truth behind Danny Russo's murder. Detective Blake left Amelia's house with a gnawing sense of unease. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than met the eye. As he drove away in his unmarked Ford Taurus, he made a mental note to dig deeper into Amelia's past. Back at the police station, Detective Blake dove into the investigation with renewed vigor. He meticulously examined Danny's phone records, hoping to find a connection between him and Amelia. The records revealed a startling pattern: countless calls and text messages exchanged between Danny and a burner phone, a type of phone often used to maintain anonymity. A quick search revealed that the burner phone was registered to a fake name and address. Detective Blake's instincts told him that this was a crucial piece of the puzzle. He enlisted the help of his tech-savvy colleague, Officer Ramirez, to trace the phone's activity. Officer Ramirez, a whiz with computers, was able to track the burner phone's location to a series of seedy motels on the outskirts of Cedarbrook. Further investigation revealed that Amelia had checked into these motels on numerous occasions, always during times when her husband was out of town. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together, but Detective Blake needed concrete evidence to prove Amelia's involvement in Danny's death. He obtained a warrant to search Amelia's house, hoping to find the missing burner phone or any other incriminating evidence. As the search team combed through the house, they discovered a hidden compartment in Amelia's closet. Inside, they found a stack of photos depicting Amelia and Danny in intimate embraces, a testament to their passionate affair. They also found a small vial containing a clear liquid, later identified as a rare and deadly poison. The discovery of the poison sent shockwaves through the investigation. It was the missing link, the smoking gun that pointed directly to Amelia. A seemingly innocuous suburban housewife was now the prime suspect in a murder investigation. But the poison was only the tip of the iceberg. As the investigation continued, a darker, more disturbing picture of Amelia began to emerge. Her internet search history revealed a morbid fascination with poisons, torture methods, and true crime stories. There were even disturbing sketches found hidden in her art studio, depicting gruesome scenes of violence and suffering. Detective Blake was horrified by the depths of Amelia's depravity. He had seen his fair share of darkness in his career, but this case chilled him to the bone. It was clear that Amelia was not just a scorned lover, but a dangerous psychopath who had meticulously planned and executed Danny's murder. Meanwhile, Robert, still oblivious to his wife's sinister secret, struggled to come to terms with Danny's death. He couldn't believe that his Amelia, the woman he loved and trusted, could be capable of such a monstrous act. But as the evidence mounted, he was forced to confront the horrifying truth. The news of Amelia's arrest sent shockwaves through Cedarbrook. The community was reeling from the realization that a seemingly ordinary housewife was a cold-blooded killer. The facade of perfection had crumbled, revealing the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. As the trial approached, the media frenzy intensified. Amelia's case became a national sensation, a chilling reminder of the hidden dangers that can lurk in the most unexpected places. The trial was a media circus, with reporters and spectators flocking to the courthouse to catch a glimpse of the killer housewife. Amelia's defense team, led by the renowned attorney Richard Stone, argued that she was a victim of circumstance, driven to desperation by Danny's blackmail in her failing marriage. But the prosecution, armed with a mountain of evidence, presented a different picture. They painted Amelia as a manipulative and calculating killer who had carefully planned and executed Danny's murder. The trial dragged on for weeks, each day revealing more shocking details about Amelia's dark past. The jury was presented with a chilling portrait of a woman consumed by obsession, jealousy, and a twisted desire for control. In the end, the evidence was overwhelming. Amelia was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict brought a sense of closure to the community of Cedarbrook, but it also left a lingering sense of unease.